Whatever. Good
It's one of
morning.
those days.
It was a long day, yeah. Let's start all over, shall we? Three, two, one, go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. Another episode of BU Podcast, part of Super Mom's Magic Circle. Today we have Dahlia. She is amazing. She's an amazing mom and she does so much. You will be impressed. Her business, her nonprofit. We have to learn so much from her. Let's welcome Dahlia. Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
Good, good. It was like I think I said earlier on to you a few minutes before we started the podcast recording, it was hectic. So this
Yes.
week, same for you, isn't it?
Yes, it's starting off crazy, but hopefully it'll end a lot smoother.
We have days and days. So
Yes.
Dalia, thank you for saying yes to BU podcast. I really appreciate, and I'm just so glad to have you here. Tell us a bit about your journey. Let's talk about your business journey and what you want to share with us.
Sure. So I have two worlds that I kind of live in, my professional world, and then I think what I call my legacy. So professionally, I live in HR, fractional work where I help small and medium-sized businesses really build HR departments. As I mentioned, there's so many companies that have employees, but no HR. And a lot of times people think of HR as just hire, fire. But what I tell everyone is that it's more human than resources, or it's supposed to be. Like our main goal is really to make sure that the humans are actually being taken care of in the company. So whether that does sometimes mean policies and procedures for people to really understand how to move, but a lot of times it means fighting for what's right for the company to move forward and be successful, which means supporting employees and protecting them. And a lot of times people don't see a lot of that kind of behind the scenes stuff. A lot of times I'll take my HR fractional and consulting and use that to help the company learn how to grow. Because it's one thing to have policies and procedures in place, but if you don't know how to implement them, or you just think that you now just have a rule and you're going to throw it on the table like a tombstone or whatever, and it's just supposed to fly like that, that never works. So I help leadership figure out how to lead, but also give them the structures and tools to do so.
That's
Uh,
phenomenal. Yes, no, thank you so much. Thank you. And also, like you said, we don't realize that HR is so important, and that's crucial. That's for sure. Now, let's move on and talk about your nonprofit. Please tell us more about
yes.
that.
Yeah, so that's really my legacy. So I say that I live in the HR coaching world really for this part of my life. So I do have a nonprofit, which is affectionately called PATH, which is spelled PATHH, and the second H is lowercase, because it stands for Parenting Alone Takes Heart and a Little Bit of Help, which is so that's why the second H is lowercase. I was a single mom, still am. As I mentioned, which is again, just so crazy to me to think that my daughter will be turning 25 in 2 days. So, I kind of think back like, how did I make it
Especially,
25 years, right?
especially as a single mom, I can imagine. I have two under two, and I find it hard with my husband help as well. So imagine a single mom and she's turning 25. Oh my gosh, high five to that. Like,
Thank you.
that's good.
Yeah, it definitely was a journey. Like I said, it definitely was a journey, but I think it gave me insight that it gave me a journey that I don't want everyone else to have to go through, that kind of goes through that same single parent world.
Absolutely. So, what would you say was the biggest struggle for you, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest struggle was definitely support and belief. My story is a little crazy, a little unorthodox. When I was pregnant with my daughter, there were people around me that literally told me I was stupid. Like while I was pregnant, like you're stupid. You should essentially cancel the pregnancy. And to have that as what I considered to be my friends at the time was hard. I ended up essentially doing it alone. When I had my daughter in the hospital alone, I really did not have that familial support. I felt I was more vilified for choosing to move forward with the pregnancy than supported. So when I decided to create this nonprofit, it literally came because one day I just started Googling statistics for single parents. And this was way, oh my God, my daughter was in middle school. So let's see, this was probably like 2012 that I think this first landed on me. And back then, we were one third of society. So that shocked me because it was like, so you're telling me that one out of every three people that you pass is a single parent. But we don't know that. We spend a lot of times with our head down, just trying to, grind and take care of the kids and make sure we pay the bills and so forth. So definitely support was the one thing that could have held me back. Or lack of support is definitely the biggest thing that I feel that we as a community struggle with and need. Aw.
Definitely, the support is definitely something you definitely need. And I think it's so amazing that you created that. And I can, oh, look, this is, yeah, my baby. She wants to say hi to your podcast as well. I can't believe that one in three, I mean, that's scary. That percentage is, wow. It's so,
Right.
tell me about one story. I'm sure you have lots of stories, but one story that you can say, like, look, what my nonprofit did for this particular woman.
Sure. So when I first started the nonprofit, I was actually mentoring homeless single parents. And I would go into the different homeless shelters and actually provide classes for them to be able to really understand that it's okay to not only be a single parent, but let's learn how to embrace the journey that comes along with it instead of fighting it. Because I feel like society teaches us to fight it. And that day, I happened to be teaching about space and time and how important it was for when we come home from work. I mean, I was working a 40-hour, I was a recruiter at the time. So I was working a 40-hour plus week because if anybody's a recruiter, they know it doesn't stop. You're doing interviews on Sunday. So, finding that time to be at peace with myself, at one with myself was hard, especially when I also had a young daughter. And I was teaching about how I would come home every day, and I had this rule where I would say, "Give mommy 30." That's all I asked for was 30 minutes. And I taught my daughter that the give me 30 doesn't mean I don't love you. It's actually my way of showing you that I love you. Because if you
Wow.
give mommy 30, that gives mommy an opportunity to step away from everything that happened outside. And normally, what would happen was at about maybe 15 minutes, the cute face peeks around the corner. And it was enough to just bring the joy out of me and move me forward. And as I was teaching it, there was a woman that day that started crying. And after the class, when we kind of sat down and I pulled her to the side and just talked to her, she talked about how much she was struggling. And she was essentially at a place of starting to lash out with her children, and she couldn't figure out how to do the balance. She had talked to counselors and et cetera. And so she really just let me know that at that moment, she felt like it was okay for her to request the time that she needed. And we ended up kind of I now live in Houston, Texas. This was back in Cleveland, Ohio. And so we ended up staying in contact for a while. And so it really changed the way that she owned her reality. She was like, I started being more confident in setting rules and setting boundaries and realizing that by me doing that, I was also teaching my children that it was okay to do the same thing. And I would say that's one of that was probably one of the first moments that I realized that what I had gone through and the guidance that I had received from above for my own personal life and journey meant something and was impactful and that I needed to continue to share. Because again, when you're trying to do it by yourself and you don't have a support system, it can very easily go left, if you don't have someone saying it's okay to just take a moment. So I would say that was one of the first times that I really realized that, wow, I need to continue this journey and, to look at a family and say, I helped you with your mental health. I helped you with your relationship with your children because she had multiple children. So it was, yeah,
Wow.
right. So. I would say
Thank you
that was
so
one of the
much.
first.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's so powerful. I love it. 30. I will obviously have to start implementing that. It's so crucial. It's amazing.
Hmm.
The past 5 years I've been working with moms in business. And this is, you mentioned so many things in there. And honestly, my audience will love you because you share so much already. For them to find balance, it's hard sometimes because
Yeah.
they feel that, okay, if I spend too much time in my business, then I don't have time with my kids or the other way around. So that's really, really good that you bring that up. So what would you say, what's your secret to find balance?
Well, so I would say when I was raising my daughter, my actual secret was to share my journey with her. I didn't hide that I was a recruiter. Actually, there would be times that it was kind of funny now that I think back that she would be helping me on interviews. Like we would make a game out of it. So I found time within my work world where she could be included, so that she could learn and that she could also, again, understand independence, get a different view of like mommy is mommy, but mommy has a whole other world that mommy's trying to make happen for us. So I included her in a lot, and that helped me. In addition to stuff like the give mommy 30, and setting those boundaries, those that helped me kind of create that balance in the household because she learned about business at a very young age. So she could talk to me about things. And so, and as they're growing up, they're really curious. So there would be times that we would be sitting over the dinner table and she would ask, well, why did you pick this candidate over this candidate? And so, I openly enjoyed having those discussions with her. And like I said, and to see her now at 24, almost 25, those moments of curiosity that I didn't fight, I now see come to fruition. Now I find I love candles. Candles are my quiet time now. Normally, once I'm done with my day, I don't watch a lot of TV anymore because I find that at least for me, I can just get sucked into, they call like the Netflix where you've watched all 8 seasons. Like so,
Yeah.
I fight that really badly. So a lot of times, once I'm done, I pretty much don't eat after like 7 o'clock because I find I am a eat and watch TV. It has to go hand in hand. Like I can't do it separately. So I'll light a candle, and sometimes I'll just lay on the bed, lay across the couch. I do stuff like I'll cut image on YouTube that has like a lava lamp, or I love oh God, what is it called? There's this channel on YouTube that does like these videos where they're traveling over, like you'll see Greece, like it'll show you Greece, or like you can watch like the thing go through China. So I'll sit back and I love to travel. So I sit back and I'll just, because it's quiet, there's like some peaceful music on, and it allows me to be interested in something, but my mind isn't running. I'm just kind of watching and enjoying. So like I said, that's pretty much the TV that I watch. Music is big for me, but my candles and my nighttime, just lighting a candle and just laying down. And like I said, sometimes music, sometimes not. I do have a dog. She's outside right now in prayer of remaining silent for this time. But I do have a dog named Wonder Woman,
Wow,
who is
nice
all
name.
right. Wonder Woman is my go-to. I even have a picture of me when I was five at my 5-year-old birthday with like Wonder Woman on my cake. So she's been the original Wonder Woman, might I add, Linda, the original Wonder Woman. I always have to preface that. But yeah, so just quiet and silence is huge for me. And at 50, I turned 50 in January. Doing things that
Congratulations. Congratulations.
you
You are sharing so much. So, 2 seconds. I have to go back
okay.
to what you said because you're sharing a lot and I really want to be there. So, first of all, that's beautiful. So your daughter learned so much just because you were there doing your thing and you were just teaching her in a way, not really teaching. She was there and she saw how you're recruiting. So I think she has so many skills now just because of that. So well
Exactly.
done to that. Well done to that. This is one of the biggest scary moves that my coaches and the healers, moms in business that I work with, they are really scared about. They are like, oh, I'm not going to have time for the business because I have kids. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. You can involve them as well as much as you can.
Exactly.
Same with the household as well. I have my 2 years old, and guess what? He loves cooking. He loves it. He's washing the potatoes. He's doing like easy things. He loves it. He knows how to make omelette from A to Z, like literally everything. He knows every single step. So that's beautiful. Now let's go back about you said you are 50. Tell us about
Yes.
that. Age, I know age is the age just a number or no really?
Well, 50 for me is huge for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's obviously a monumental time in life. But almost a year ago, April 14th, I was sitting in my car at a grocery store and I was hit with a stray bullet. And so,
What?
I almost at that day was like, it changes you. It
Wow.
changes how you, and I call it my still moment. I love acronyms. So I
Hmm.
call it my still moment because the bullet went through my stomach, my intestines, my liver, and my lungs. And
Wow.
so that was, a crazy time for me. And so arriving at 50 has definitely put me in a place of honoring life in a way that I didn't before. I mean, I always, I think, loved life, but treasure it and treasure every moment. I think is a big awakening for me, and thankfulness because when I look back and like when you were talking about like the struggle that we have as moms, when I look back, I'm so thankful that I was able to figure out how to just be involved with her. We took a 2-week cruise for my 50th birthday, her and I. And it was an emotional cruise. I think that we cried the first week. Like everyone
Oh,
was like, "Oh, you went on this great vacation." I was like, "Yeah, no, it really
oh,
wasn't. No, it was a
bless.
time to reconnect. That first week was rough because we had to process everything that happened last year, but that second week was a time for us to remember and laugh about, times that maybe the lights were out, and we didn't have, there was, oh God, we did not have any lights. And my daughter said, I remember this story for the rest of my life because she said, oh, just don't, what did she say? Just don't pay the TV bill. And I said, look, the TV is the lights. Like, I'm like, you telling me not to pay the TV bill? That's the lights, the refrigerator. She didn't realize it was electricity is running everything. So we just laughed about a lot of stuff. We watched the stars because, of course, there was no light pollution out in the middle of nowhere. So we were able to watch stars. So it was just a moment that, again, is monumental for multiple reasons.
That's beautiful. Everything you just shared. And I can see how that bullet really shaped your life completely. Like after something like that, you definitely see life differently.
Yeah, it's like the Twilight. I told my friends at first, I was like, it's like the Twilight Zone. Like everything looked the same, but it was definitely different. It was definitely different. So it's one of those situations where it's like you never wish it on anyone, but with the changes that have come in my life since then, you're almost afraid to take it back.
Mm. So what was your first, let's say, action that you took differently with intention after that event? What have you changed?
Self-love. I spent a lot of time, when I raising my daughter again was a life of sacrifice, which I willingly did. But I also was raised in a situation where I sacrificed a lot of my identity in order to make the environment peaceful or happy. So for that first time when I came home and had to learn essentially how to, walk again, really, and so forth. I learned that it was finally like my eyes were open, like, it says your cup runneth over, but you have to fill your cup first. You can't, you can't keep pouring into everyone else's cup and just and just go dry. And
Yeah.
so that was probably the biggest shift, was prioritizing me, my feelings, my emotions, my boundaries, and everything that I felt I needed in order to be whole and complete. So
That's
that's definitely the biggest
beautiful.
shift.
Thank you so much for being so open and transparent and for sharing that. And is this how Leadership is Me started, your podcast?
Yes. So a young lady that I knew one time who knew my journey of growing up and so forth, she was feeling bad for me. And so one day she said, I don't care who you are, everyone deserves a cheering section. And so this was easily probably like 22 years ago when she said this, and I've never forgotten it. And as I've gotten into HR and executive coaching, I started to meet a lot of people that would put judgment on those that were not at the level that they were. So if they were already a six-figure entrepreneur, they would judge the person at the farmer's market, or they didn't feel like they deserved coaching. And so I'm not, and because I'm the type of person who feels like I got to where I was because random people along my journey chose to pour into me, I feel everyone deserves it. Everyone deserves someone to say you can do it. Everyone deserves someone that they can pour into and feel safe,
Yeah.
with their struggles, their insecurities, and they're going to feed them and encourage them and how to move on. So yeah, that's where it came from, because it was me learning that I am worthy of it all, but me also realizing how many other people are struggling. And because executive coaching is only reserved for the C-suite or someone, that everyday people can still benefit from these lessons as well. Because a lot of people, as the tagline says, a lot of people are struggling to become whatever that sentence finishes with. We're all struggling. So why not get together and support one another in order to do that, in order to become what it is we individually want to be?
Love it. Love it. Love it. So, what leadership means to you?
Transparency.
Hmm.
The strongest leaders that I've ever sat under were leaders that were willing to be open and transparent about their journey. It's the way that I learned the best. Like, I love documentaries and so forth. But being truthful, being willing to not only share your story, but also receive someone else's story. And I think it's Brene Brown that talks about, going into being vulnerable and going into that place to give someone else the tools that they need. And so I truly am one of the people that really want everyone to step into whatever it is that they want to step into. So I told my daughter this, but I think this is, now that I'm speaking about it out loud, I think this is really a part of my character. I told my daughter years ago that if I had to lay myself open on the ground for her to not have the life that I led, I would do that. And so that's how I feel about others. I am totally fine sharing all of my journey and insecurities for people to see it's possible, regardless of what you've gone through. And my journey, I think, is truly a testament of that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. In my case, so many times I see leadership as motherhood or parenting in general. Because as a mom, you do everything. Same as a
Right.
leader. So yeah,
Exactly.
this
And
is
they
how
do
I
kind
see.
of connect. And I was gonna say that, and it does kind of connect because as moms, as you said, we lay ourselves on the line, for our children. Like, we will go to that dark place. We will cry in the room at night to protect our kids from seeing how hard it is for us. So yeah, to me, it still connects because you have to dive somewhere within yourself and deal with your insecurities, your fears, everything, in order to create this human for them to go out into the world and thrive. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. So tell us more about your business at the moment. So what do you do? Where is your heart more? Where is your energy goes more? Is it in the nonprofit, the podcast, the uh, DNX enterprise? Where, or are you just all over the place? All over? Tell us more where people can find you as well and how do you
So I'm definitely more of a jack of all trades. As I said, I feel like my life right now is definitely going through a shift with what is priority for me. The my DNX Enterprises, I said, is where I live as far as executive coaching is concerned. And I do actually work a lot with nonprofits in with the nonprofit industry, I should say. So executive coaching is definitely more where my heart leans. But as I said, my nonprofit, The Path, is my legacy. And that is just something that I'll never be able to let go of. And Leadership is Me is really here to be able to kind of meld both worlds together. I do feel like single parents should have their own community where we can depend on one another, where we can feed off of one another, from entrepreneurial centers to grocery stores. Like we have an immense financial amount that we spend in the world. And back in 2012, our population was larger than the state of Texas. So I'm like, technically, we're large enough to have our own government. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right. So I'm definitely probably turning my chair somewhat into more of the leadership development and working more with parents.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for everything you shared. Thank you. I really appreciate absolutely everything. And you're just such a beautiful soul. And I'm just so
Thank you.
glad that you're doing so many wonderful things and you do them with ease. And that's fantastic. And your mission is so beautiful, I have to say. You're a beautiful soul. And I'm sure your daughter is proud of you. And I really hope you mentioned you leave this as a legacy. Do you see her helping you or building this up together maybe later on? Do you see her stepping in as well?
Yes, what's interesting is so one of her passions is interior design. And part of my vision for the community is an actual, like, physical community where there's acres of land with homes on it. And so I believe that I told her, I said, so once we move into that place, we have to have homes that people are excited about going into. So I've pulled from the influence of seeing, like, I watch, if I do watch TV, it's HGTV. That's a little bit of my crutch, where they design homes for people. And I said, if a mother has two kids, why are you moving into just a blank home? Like, move into a home where the bedroom is already painted for your daughter. Those little things that I think we get. So I have told her, so that'll be the part of the world that she probably lives in, because that's the world that she loves, is definitely ensuring that people have beauty. She loves beauty. And so I want to be able to help her flourish in that area as much as possible.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you identified her unique skills and unique gifts, I would say, because I strongly believe that each of us, we have that particular superpower. For some of us, just takes a bit longer to see what that is, and some for others, it's a piece of cake. And we do know. For me, I remember when I was 6 or 7, I knew I want to be a teacher. That was it. Like I was super young. And this is because I had the bad teacher and a good teacher in my life. And I was like, I want to be a good teacher. The bad teacher was punishing me in a way because I was talking too much and she was making me shush and I didn't like it. So yeah, it's beautiful. That's great. So what would you say? What's the final message you like to leave the audience?
Oh, what is the final message? That whatever it is already inside of you. You just have to look past anything standing in your way to get it. I'd like to play on my name, since my name Dahlia is a flower. And I tell people, if I was able to, like, as a flower, you take a seed, you shove it down into a lot of dirt, and you trust that it's going to manifest into something beautiful. Um, and I think a lot of people's lives are like that. Like, don't get caught up by the weeds. Don't get caught up by the bugs that are around you. Just focus on continuing to rise and trust that you'll get there. And eventually you will.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Dahlia. Thank you ever so much. I really, really appreciate it. And that's a beautiful message to end the podcast with. Thank you very much. And whoever listens, please go and join Supermom's Magic Circle. And then you can find more. You can find more about everything that's going on. And then if you have any questions, Dahlia will definitely be happy to answer any questions. I will put all your details just a click away so people can find you. And as I said, remember, keep on smiling, keep on shining.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Speak soon. Goodbye to everyone.